From a distance, the city of Yene can be seen on the horizon among the waters, like the image of a doré etching. The minarets and pinnacles stand out over the terraces of the medieval city that from far away seems to be walled in, but is not. It's the view of the houses that are so close together around the mosque that produces a sensation of coming to a very old place. Lagare has traveled to Bamako to attend the wedding of his friend Omar. Lagare has played in towns and villages on the Niger River on many occasions. He also has many friends that are scattered along the river. Yene is one of the oldest cities in Western Africa. A city that was founded in the 9th century as a strategic point on the caravan routes. Until the 19th century, according to journalists like René Caillé, it was a wealthy city that lived in relative abundance. For this reason, it was coveted by everyone, and until the French arrived, it was surrounded by a wall, which time and rain has destroyed little by little. But the unquestionable jewel of Yene is the mosque, pure Gaudi. There are other mosques like this one in the rest of Sahel, but the Yene mosque was the first one. It established a style called Sudanese architecture. Thick adobe walls, curvaceous forms, and reinforced buttresses with acacia beams projecting out of the facade. Sudanese architecture is a delirium of forms that plays with strokes without creating even a single edge. Every year, the inhabitants of the city, in a communal and supportive way, dedicate 1 week of their time to reinforce the mosque with a new layer of mud. During the European Middle Ages, Yene was the axis that the commercial relationship between the desert and the savannah turned on. Timbuktu was the gate to the great journey toward the Mediterranean, and Yene was the first major stop where boats were put to port when the river level would rise or fall. During that period, it is calculated that there were between 40 and 50,000 people living in the Mali Empire, and that this was the most populated region. Yene was the commercial and cultural center of the Niger Basin. All goods and rhythms passed through Yene. The sounds of flutes and drums would mix with the frenetic percussion of the south. The creaking of the carriages with the soundless steps of the camels that would be waiting at the gates of the city. According to the author of one of the local chronicles of that time, the Tariq al-Sudan, the territory of Yene, was so fertile and so populated that the villages grew very close together. So when the Sultan wanted to summon someone from a village, his messenger would go to one of the gates of the city walls and would shout the message from there. The people, from village to village, would pass the message along. During the 19th and 20th centuries, the city began to decline, and trade was limited almost exclusively to the weekly Monday market. Omar makes a living by selling the local Bamako fabrics made by Peul women, the dominant ethnic group of Yene. The traders who brought salt, gold, nuts, and fancy silk cloths were also responsible for introducing Islam. Today, trade is limited to subsistence, although the religious fervor is still maintained with the same force as 300 years ago. Omar lives in a good home in the best neighborhood of the city. He has done well in business and has been able to buy this building, which once belonged to his family. They lost it because of overdue debts that they held with a trader in Timbuktu. But prosperity has allowed him to recover the house and consider a second marriage. Fatoumata is his first wife. They have 2 children. A new wife will become part of the family within a few days. The strength of tradition is preserved with the most intensity in the villages and small cities like Yene. Weddings like Omar's are an excuse to bring the essence of music to the surface, which lives in the hearts of the people on the river. The griots are always the authentic stars of every ceremony. With time, they have become independent and do not work for nobles in particular, but offer their services as they like. They are not hired, but are guests at the celebrations. Once they are there, they show their talents and compete among each other to prove who can flatter the hosts more. They earn a living with tips from the other guests and with gifts from the newlyweds, if the songs are pleasing. Today, contrary to what went on before, most of the griots work in other trades, apart from livening up the celebrations. Musa Samake is currently the head of the Mali Brotherhood of Hunters, although for many years he formed part of the French military. The hunters are a very special caste and possess magical powers that are born of and developed through music.